Welcome back for more Cyborgs Under the Big Top with more Cyborg Tinkerer. Last time, Gwen goes ahead with her terrible plan to mess with the bully's props. She's caught because, and I can't stress this enough, it's the same plan that the bullies already knew about. Gwen gets her leg broken, but that's not a big deal. The circus finishes up on the pirate planet in about 10 minutes and head off to meet the Emperor. Gwen makes up with Rora after some more yelling. Bastion is acting standoffish, and they all go to the Emperor's party, which 100% isn't just a trap.
Hello and welcome back to my darkened living room. I just had a really busy, crazy day, lots of manual labor, so that's fun. But now we're going to exercise our brains as we look at this book. And I've been kind of feeling bad that I've been being so mean to it. Like, I've just been going back through the footage because at this point I am putting up, the first few episodes are up as of filming this. And I feel bad that I'm, like, so mean to it. But I was thinking, like, oh, what are some things I can praise? Let's say some praise for this book. And, I'm really struggling to think of anything. I can't even say it's all that imaginative because everything feels like I've seen it somewhere else. And I know there's nothing new under the sun. Every story has elements of other stories, but maybe it's just other stories that I have read or consumed somewhat recently, and that's why it feels so derivative of everything. If you adore this book, that doesn't mean anything about you except for that you adore this book. It doesn't mean you're dumb or bad or have terrible taste. It just means you like this book.
Another thought that just popped into my head is that it feels like Meg tried to build a book out of elements. And considering that she used to work in the publishing industry, that kind of makes a little bit of sense. So many people say, how does she not know what a good book is? She used to work in the publishing industry. But I think when agents are looking at a lot of books, they're looking for elements because they're trying to decide very quickly if they want a book or not. And so they're not looking as much at the quality of the overall book as they are looking at elements that they can sell. And so I think Meg may have gone about this book, this is just speculation, in a bit of a backwards way, where she wasn't focusing on the story or the flow or things like that. She was focusing on the fun elements that she wanted to include. And unfortunately, you cannot make a good book out of elements alone. You have to know how to combine those ingredients.
Let's read, shall we? Chapter 32, we are getting there. There's only like 400 pages in this book, and we're on 319, so exciting. It's been a little while, like a week, since I read this, so I didn't remember what was happening, but we were at the party, I guess. And Gwen and Rora have just sort of tentatively made up. They're going back. They can't find Bastion or Celeste right now. I keep forgetting that Celeste is the mistress's real name. But they go and find Marzana and Akio. Okay, I kind of like this. This is just a little thing that made me giggle, and I think it's kind of cute. Gwen grabbed Rora's arm, speed hobbling down the halls. I kind of love the mental image, speed hobbling. Bastion and the mistress just left, so they're speed hobbling after them. Celeste and Bastion exited the entrance to the palace. I would say they exited the front door of the palace or something like that, because any door can be an exit and an entrance, and it's confusing when you call it both in the same sentence. Also, they were just allowed to hobble around the palace, and no one stopped them, and the guards, when they go out the door, are just like, don't stay out after dark. Although, why isn't it after dark? Because they're having a party, and usually those happen at nighttime. But they overhear Celeste and Bastion telling the guards that they are going to the stables to check on the animals. So the girls, of course, their main strategy, because we watch Bastion and Celeste deal with the guards, and now our girls, their main strategy is flirting, of course. They gotta flirt with each other to, like, act all giggly and goofy to get out of the palace, so the guards will be like, oh, just two dumb girls.
They spent all this time trying to get in front of the Emperor, and now they're trying to get out of the palace?
Well, they're following Celeste and Bastion, who are up to nefarious doings.
Nefarious? Ooh.
Yeah. And of course, the guards are a little bit suspicious, so naturally, Gwen has to kiss Rora. just to sell their act a little bit more, obviously. How tall is Gwen? First of all, she's got a giant badonkadonk. And we know that Rora's a little short, but she is, they're smooching, and Rora's breasts press against her abdomen. Her abdomen. Also, we're gonna have to flag this one for horniness, of course. I mean, you don't kiss your apparently very short girlfriend without getting a little bit hot and bothered. Of course, the kiss completely sells it for the guards. They're like, oh, yeah, if we hadn't seen that kiss, we wouldn't have believed that you were just two dumb girls flirting and out on the town. But now we do, since you smooched. Here's a little something that you can do, a little trick to help your story just flow better. It is combining actions and descriptions. So we're describing the stables, but we also want the girls, like, doing things. So right now it is, Gwen thought she could see windows on the sides of the stables. She pointed at them. Combine those two things so it flows a little bit better. So Gwen pointed at the windows she thought she saw on the side of the stables. Combining your descriptions with character actions is going to make the flow of your writing and your reading experience better. That's something else that Meg kind of struggles with, and I haven't pointed it out too much, but I have noticed that sometimes she really has trouble transitioning between description and action. What? Pulling up her skirt, Rora revealed a rope and a small grappling hook. Does she have them in her badge? Like, where is no description of how they are attached to her body. She just, like, pulls up her skirt and there's a grappling hook there. Gwen even asks, like, where were you keeping that? And Rora doesn't answer her, and that's concerning. Where was that grappling hook, ma'am? We have an ambled, Jenna Moresi word, ambled. Also, we have two different kinds of walk being described in the same sentence. So, striding from the shadows, she ambled toward the stable's front entrance. Is she striding or is she ambling? Because those are two very different types of walking. Pick one. Also, I would like to see how she was striding with her crutch. We are reminded that she is still using her crutch here. I feel like maybe Meg is just reaching for things for her characters to do in between dialogue. She ran her tongue over her teeth, blinking slowly. Why? Is she a vampire? What is going on? She's just talking to a stable boy. Of course, the stable boy is rude. Everyone they've encountered has been like, ugh, fucking cyborgs. It would be interesting to see people have slightly different reactions. Like, maybe the stable boy could be in awe, because, like, he's a kid and he's never seen a cyborg before. By the way, if you guys hear chewing in the background, Adam is eating... What are you eating? Cereal? With ice cream? Are you eating my Cheerios? Anyway, yes, if you hear crunching, it's him. I'm confused about this. She's talking to the stable boy, who we have established is about 14. She allowed her eyes to flicker to the desk, where she spotted oils behind the counter and grease stains around the crotch of his pants. Are we supposed to understand that this 14-year-old was masturbating? Is that what we're supposed to get from this?
No, it's that the main character was totally checking out the junk on a 14-year-old kid.
Either way, I feel very uncomfy right now. I am uncomfy, Meg. Stop it.
No, don't like that.
I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, because this is the book I'm reading, and we already know. But Gwen is convincing this boy that her cyborg eye lets her actually read minds. And so looking at the desk and the grease on his trousers, apparently we are supposed to understand that a 14-year-old boy was masturbating, which they 100% do, but I don't want to read about it. So she's like, I see that you're driven by lust, and I'm just like, stop, Meg, why? No, bad author.
Stop it. Get some help.
So she's also trying to distract the boy while Rora is breaking into the back of the stables with the grappling hook that she had in her badge. So there's a lot of noise, and the stable boy runs off. And Gwen is like, oh shit, it's Rora, she's gonna be caught. But then it turns out that Rora is actually, like, hiding nearby in an alley and gets Gwen's attention. Because I guess Rora was already in and out while Gwen was talking to a 14-year-old boy about his masturbation habits. Aurora is like, you have to see what's going on. I can't explain it to you. You have to see it. Come on, I found some, like, stacked up crates that you can definitely climb on with your broken leg, so you can see this. Again, this would be a great time for a little bit more visceral storytelling, I guess, is really, it's just... She dropped her crutch on the ground before climbing up the crate. With Rora's help, she eventually made it. You've got a great opportunity for a sort of humorous moment where you tell us how Rora is helping her, like how Rora's boosting her, maybe something awkward or humorous happens, but instead it's just she eventually made it. Okay, so this is what's being described to us. The stable is absolutely swimming with guards. There's one at every single animal stall and also at the entrances, even though all we saw was a stable boy. And in the last stall is Bastion and Celeste with several portable mainframes, which again I'm picturing as laptops because we are given no description of them. And they've entered the Matrix, like green text is flowing down the screens. Oh, man, our main characters are just like, wow. They realized just now that Bastion may have been acting strangely because Celeste had been tampering with his chip. That was a surprise, apparently, to these people. Oh, is she gonna monologue their entire plan? Because she's just like, I want to be certain you understand your orders for tomorrow. Is she just gonna tell? This stable is absolutely swimming with guards, but no one's outside to make sure that two people don't sit on these convenient barrels and listen in at the window. Sorry, not barrels, crates. Ah, she's given him a different chip. She put a different chip in him. No, surprising no one. But he's supposed to assassinate the Emperor tomorrow, and then he'll be killed. So she's keeping his old chip. She's just monologuing. Bastion's like just sitting there staring into space because she put in his like automaton mindless servant chip, and so she's just talking to him, telling him all of her evil schemes.
You sly dog! You got me monologuing! I can't believe it.
She calls him her thin, dark ringleader. Ma'am. Gwen is now like in full murder mode, like I have to kill Celeste, she's doing terrible things to my boyfriend. Are Gwen and Rora going to inadvertently save the Emperor and that's how they get his favor? The girls are gonna have to do a little heist to get Bastion's real chip back from Celeste so they can put it in his brain and he can remember who he is. They decide they shouldn't tell the Emperor that he's going to be assassinated, not because that might turn him even further against cyborgs, but because he just wouldn't believe them? Rora says, time to make one of your master plans. When has Gwen ever made a plan, let alone a master plan?
Frankly, it sounds made up.
Gwen thinks that Celeste, the mistress, doesn't understand that murdering the Emperor will turn everyone against cyborgs. And I just don't know where she gets this logic from. I'm assuming that Celeste does want to, like, prove that cyborgs are dangerous or something. Or maybe she thinks if she kills the Emperor, people will be like, yes, she killed the old Emperor, she should be the new Emperor, or something like that. I don't know what she's thinking. But I don't think that she believes that killing the Emperor will suddenly make everyone okay with cyborgs, on account of he will have been killed by a cyborg. Anyway, I'm just gonna read one chapter tonight, because I can only handle so much of this disastrous climax. I'm gonna go do something else instead. I'll see you for the next chapter. Hello, welcome back for more Cyborg Tinkerer. Are you ready for more cyborgs? Are you ready for more tinkering? Are you ready for more of Gwen's terrible plans? As you can see by my makeup, I have been filming today. Chapter 33, we're so close to the end. I'm so excited. I'm not hating this experience, actually. It's just sort of exciting for me to, like, have a completed book. Of the books that I have read for the read-along, some have definitely been more painful than this. Like, even though this is deeply flawed, it is flawed in a kind of humorous way. At first, I wouldn't have called this book so bad it's good, but it's getting there. It's getting to that point. We are reaching the room levels.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Unfortunately, we did have to slog through just some regular old obnoxiousness to get here. I am still excited to finish it though, because like I said, I like that feeling of completing something. So let's go, chapter 33! What the fuck is this? This chapter 33 is just, does not disappoint. Heart heavier than a large woman's tits. Everything comes back to tits with Meg. And she doesn't say, go join the others. She tells Aurora, go. hang with the others.
How do you do, fellow kids?
When I think of how people would talk in a steampunk world, that's not how I would imagine it. But it does not surprise me that Meg does not have a handle on voice and how people would probably talk in a world like this, because she's struggling with much simpler elements of writing, so Rora does not want to go back to the party. She wants to accompany Gwen upstairs. Oh, we have horniness. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared for horniness so early. I'm gonna have to switch to yellow. I'm almost out of orange. I'm gonna have to switch to yellow. Gwen, no. Why are you still thinking this? She thinks, get a hold of yourself. This is the woman who betrayed you, who used you. I feel like, Gwen, if you thought about things for any length of time, you would find that Rora had done no such thing. This is a line that someone wrote. Even as the need for Bastion coursed through her veins, a very different need for Rora settled between Gwen's thighs. Rora is naked under her dress, so they're helping each other off with their dresses, of course, and Rora's dress falls away, and she is completely nude, so apparently the only piece of undergarment she wore today was a grappling hook. I'm not sure why she went commando. Rora goes and changes into a sheer nightgown, so she's still basically nude. And we don't get anything of what Gwen changes into, so is she just still standing there in her underwear? She tinkers Rora's hand. Gwen, would you stop? This is worse than Layla. At least with Layla, you can kind of imagine why she would think that Tobias, every time he talked about the Savior, and hating the Savior, he was talking about her. Maybe, if you squint. But this is ridiculous. Rora's like, hey, Gwen, stay the night. I don't want to sleep alone. And Gwen is like, a woman who had betrayed Gwen. Betrayed you, bitch? No. No. So Gwen's like, no, I mustn't. And Rora's like, I earned that. No, you didn't. You were beaten and knocked unconscious. But Rora pulls out the whole, if we stay together, it will be easier for us to get straight down to figuring out the Bastion situation. I'll sleep on the sofa. And Gwen is like, fine, for Bastion. Because she is team Bastion now, 100%. Gwen has gone all in. She wakes up horny. I'm counting this as a different horniness because it's a new day. She wakes up horny. It is interesting to note that their medical technology, aside from replacing people's limbs with cyborg ones, is roughly the same or worse than we have now as far as broken limbs, because she's just wearing a cast on her broken leg. Gwen and Rora head out for a fresh day of investigating, and they can't find anybody. They're like, did the mistress go ahead with her assassination plans already? Like, what's happening? So they find the other cyborgs. Apparently, everyone else stayed at the party. Every single person. Now they're all trapped in the ballroom and, like, tied up, and Gwen and Rora are peeking in through the window. I guess nobody thought to check any bedrooms in case, you know, somebody left the party. But they're all tied up, and they're sitting against the walls, and they each have a guard with a gun pointed at them. Gwen is in a life and death battle with Summer from the cellar, for which of you is just the most clueless character. It's a real competition. These two should get into a clueless off, because it would be a real fight. Her heart sank as she realized the Emperor never intended to have them perform. This entire thing, the performance, the meeting with the Union Council to change the law, had been a lie to get them there.
Obviously.
The Emperor shows up. He was behind a pillar, I guess. Just straight chilling. I don't know. That's what emperors do. And he's grilling the cyborgs. And he's like, where is your mistress? Where is your tinkerer? Checking the bedrooms is out of the question. This is another situation where we just need to get right into the action. The Emperor is going to have Marzana shot because Marzana is being like, we don't have a tinkerer. And Gwen is reacting. In an instant, she was on her feet. That's fine. She wouldn't let her friends get hurt. Not if there was something she could do about it. Get rid of that. Show us that with her actions. Like her springing to her feet immediately, her about to do something stupid but brave. That's enough to let us know that she wasn't gonna let her friends get hurt. Gwen is, of course, being super quippy. Like, she came in and she's like, who called for a tinkerer? Oh, are we having a bondage party? I'm sorry I missed it. Like, she's just gone full quippiness. So Gwen notices that Bastian has a knife between his hands and he's working to cut himself free, and says Gwen's heart plodded a merry tune in her chest. What does that even mean? The Emperor's about to notice that Bastian is cutting himself free, and Gwen has been refusing to give him her name. So she's like, my name is Gwendolyn Grimm. And then she says it, and then realization crashed into her, and her heart sank into her gut. She just revealed her real name. Did you not feel your lips moving? Did you not feel the words passing your mouth? And of course, she's upset that she did, because this means that he could have her executed, super duper executed, because not only is she a cyborg, but she's an enemy of his, because her family was opposed to him. Okay, stuff's just happening. Oh my goodness. Bastian is up, and he has freed himself, and he has his cane, which I'm gonna guess is a sword cane. I'm calling it now. And then Gwen just had 2 knives up her sleeves, which was not ever described to us before, but she's ready to fight. So all of a sudden, we got our badass. We got a couple of badasses over here. Oh, I was wrong. It's a gun cane. Even better. And for some reason, Gwen has decided to prevent the Emperor's assassination anyway. So Bastian aims his gun cane, and Gwen is like, look out, your highness, and like pushes him aside. What the fuck? At this point, when he is obviously going to execute all of your people, he has your people all tied up. You're gonna still side with the fucking Emperor? That's the end of the chapter. And like, how long is the next one? Because I'm furious. Okay, it's only a few pages long. Okay, I probably actually do need to stop because I need to walk the dog and such before it gets dark. But like, whew, what a doozy of a chapter. What the fuck are the choices that these people make? I don't even know. I thought for sure it was going to be like, Bastian shot the Emperor and we figure it out from there. And then Bastian turned out to be the Emperor or some bullshit like that. I don't know. But anyway, she threw her knives toward Bastian as well. I forgot to mention that. She's like, look out, your highness. And then she yeeted these knives that we just found out are in her sleeves just now towards Bastian. So it's intense. Things are just happening, wall-to-wall things. So we are on to chapter 34, and you recall that the last chapter was promising some serious bonkers business. So let's just dive right back into it, shall we? You know, I listened to someone else's read-along, and I think as a defense mechanism, most of the plot points left my brain almost immediately. So a lot of this is still a surprise to me, even though I supposedly know what happens. Once again, we're just being told a thing about a character when we need to know it. This feels really shallow. Gwen is throwing her knives. She'd thrown knives in deep space at pirates boarding her vessel with gravity far more finicky than the Covenant's natural gravity. Hell, she trained under countless sailors since she began working as a tinkerer. So let us see Gwen practicing throwing her knives for fun. Let us see Aurora being impressed and a little turned on by Gwen's knife-throwing prowess. Let us know that Gwen has this ability before she needs to be badass with it. That was a real problem that they had a lot in the Ables as well, is it was just like, oh, now we can do this. So after all that talking about how Gwen is just this badass knife thrower, she still wonders, did I just kill Bastian? Even though I'm not worried. I know that his torso is like metal, so he's fine. She redirected his gun with one knife, and the other one is lodged in his chest. Wait, she didn't remember? She threw a knife at his chest and she didn't remember? She's relieved when she sees that it hasn't actually stuck in, because she's like, oh yeah, he's got metal there. And I'm like, you didn't remember that when you threw a knife at his chest and you just talked about how good you were at knife throwing? So she was just gonna stab him in the chest. Here's 2 words you don't need. She realized quite suddenly that the human soldiers outnumbered the cyborgs. She realized that the human soldiers outnumbered the cyborgs. Sentences stronger without quite suddenly. Also, a bunch of human soldiers came pouring in because obviously someone just tried to assassinate the Emperor. So there's even more soldiers. I don't know where they were because they clearly weren't patrolling outside as Gwen got in here super easily. So I forgot that Gwen also like pushed the Emperor, so he's like down on the ground. But I cannot shake the mental image of her just like shoving him like a schoolyard bully and then throwing her knives at Bastion. And of course the Emperor is like, oh, that's just how cyborgs are, the technology fucks with their brains, and then they all become evil. So I'm so glad that we saved his life. Nigel, don't sit on my bookmark. So of course Bastion is still under the spell of his new chip. So he's just like, I tried to assassinate the Emperor of my own volition. I've always hated the Emperor. Of course, very monotone. All you have to do is replace their good guy chip with an evil guy chip, and then they'll just try to assassinate you. Meg! Why are you like this? Her descriptions. I wonder if she placed them in here on a bet. When Titus laughed, it was a throaty chuckle like the sound a dog makes before it throws up. I think maybe Meg was drunk when she wrote some of this. That's my only excuse. Again, Gwen explaining the situation doesn't actually help the cyborg cause all that much. It's probably going to still somehow, but if I was the Emperor, I'd be like, oh, well, I feel much better knowing that it's that easy to turn a cyborg evil. She explains everything, and then the Emperor is like, why didn't you tell me before? And she just says he wouldn't have believed a cyborg, and I'm like, I mean, maybe he wouldn't have believed you, but he also might have just taken a couple extra precautions to prevent his assassination. Like, kept it in the back of his mind that maybe somebody was trying to assassinate him, instead of you just letting him walk into a murder plot. Everybody just finds their way in here. We don't know where they were previously, but they are here now. So the Emperor is like, tear the palace apart and find the mistress, and she just walks in like she was waiting for her cue. She's like, I'm right here. Like, couldn't you have just spared those couple of extra paragraphs to, like, have them tear the palace apart? Of course, the mistress has also captured Rora, and one of her watchmen is aiming a pistol at Rora's head, so everybody's love interest is imperiled. Okay, I mean, this might as well happen. Celeste is like, I'm not actually Celeste. My name is Emmeline Belmore. And they're like, what? Because apparently Emmeline Belmore was one of the creators of cyborg technology, and her house was supposed to burn down, killing everyone inside. But I bet you they didn't check that hard for survivors, and now she's here. So my question is, why does making her be like one of the cyborg scientists who like, I don't know if she invented the cyborg technology, but she definitely had like stakes in it, probably owned factories and stuff, which would explain why she's pissed off at the Emperor for sure. She probably lost a shit ton of money. But why is that more powerful than her just being the powerful owner of the last cyborg circus who's out for revenge because her people are being systematically hunted down? Why is this twist, is basically what I'm asking. Also, it was not foreshadowed at all. I mean, I suppose you could be like, oh, the foreshadowing was that she was a really good cyborg surgeon. But as we are given very few other examples besides Gwen, we have no idea if the mistress is like so much better than anybody else. There were other doctors there assisting her. It just didn't strike me as like that. Oh, it's obvious. I can put those pieces of the puzzle together now that we have this. She's also come to just monologue her villain thoughts. She just fucking waltzed in here and is like, ah, yes, allow me to tell you everything. For no reason.
You magnificent bastard, I read your book!
She's explaining how her factories and laboratories were all bombed by the Emperor, and I get that as like a motivation, but she could have basically the same motivation if she was still just the mistress of the circus. Who is this speech for? Is she hoping that his guards will turn on him? I'm so confused what she's hoping to achieve with this. Although she has just realized how dumb she is to have just turned herself in hopes that, I don't know, he'd feel bad after she told him everything. But he's like, Cool, you just turned yourself in and your assassin? Oh my gosh, this is so contrived. So contrived. So the Emperor is like, cool, I'm gonna kill you for trying to assassinate me, but I need this cyborg tinkerer because I want to create a cool weapon to kill the rest of the cyborgs. I have effectively convinced my people that cyborgs are evil, and you have now finally finished convincing them because you just tried to assassinate me. So again, thanks for that. Great job. But he wants to make a giant weapon, and he says, I need a cyborg tinkerer and a ship tinkerer to make a weapon powerful enough to destroy the cyborgs. How fucking contrived can you possibly be that he just happens to need exactly Gwen? What does this even mean? We will use the technology from a ship's cannon to summon enough power that we can destroy a cyborg's mainframe with a single blast from a distance. What cyborg mainframe?
I think...
What, are all cyborg brains like stored on a server somewhere and he's gonna shoot it down?
They're just gonna shoot the body of a cyborg with a really big gun. They're just gonna disintegrate.
So their mainframe is their body, is what he's saying.
Well, I mean, it sounds like a disintegration gun. It's just a really big gun. I'm gonna shoot you with a really big gun.
Okay, so our theory is it's a disintegration ray, and he's just gonna shoot people. Like, what is a mainframe? And he plans to use the circus performers to test his weapon on, so that's why they're here. Oh my goodness, what? It's a trap? Who ever could have predicted? I don't know, anyone with a working brain? Gwen, why do you think you're so fucking special? So she's like, I'll help you if you leave my friends alive. And he's like, no, I'm eliminating every cyborg, that includes them. And she's like, well, good luck finding another cyborg and ship tinkerer then. I'm like, I'm pretty sure there are lots of them. I don't think it's just you, Gwen. I want him to be like, okay, cool, I will, and just like shoot her and move on. And then he can be like, oh wait, regular guns work on cyborgs? What do I need a giant ship gun for? So I guess Gwen is telling us that Bastion recruited her because she was literally the only cyborg tinkerer. Like, the Emperor has blown through all of the other ones, like killed them all or something. But she wasn't a cyborg tinkerer, she was a ship tinkerer, so like, still doesn't make a lot of sense why he chose her. But apparently Gwen is the last one. She is the last unicorn. And so the Emperor is like, fine, I'll leave your friends alive, I guess. I don't think this makes as much sense as you think it makes, Gwen. The Emperor's like, I can just force you to work. I can threaten your friends. And she says, you can try, but what leverage are they if you plan to kill them anyway? Well, he just told you that he would leave them alive. So, I think he could still use hurting them as a way to get you to do what he wants. But we're just dealing with Gwen logic here, so... Gwen is like, the other part of the deal that I want is I want to kill the mistress. And the Emperor gives sort of a token resistance, and then he's like, okay, fine, and he gives her a knife, which we have just established a few minutes ago she's very accurate with. Maybe don't. Gwen leans in close to the mistress, and she's like, give me back Bastion's good guy chip, and I'll help you. This has just gone full, absolute balls to the wall bonkers, okay? So the mistress is like, tee-hee-hee, and she pulls something from her pocket, and it's a big red button. What is happening? But she has activated her murder squad of watchmen, who we remember have been acting weirdly, so at least there's that. There's that little bit of foreshadowing. The watchmen this whole time have clearly been, like, not human. And they're the horrifying cyborg zombies with, like, patchwork faces of metal and human flesh. And she's only activated them now. I don't know why she waited so long. Maybe she just wanted to make sure that he heard her speech. And Gwen figures out that the mistress had been using all of the parts that Gwen was repoing to reinforce her evil watchmen zombies, so that now they are mostly metal. Consequently, this is exactly what the Emperor was afraid of. One of the reasons that he outlawed cyborgs was because they could become like a villainous army, and that is exactly what they've done. So, also she has summoned the cyborg animals as well with her big red button that she had in her pocket. So, just the absolute balls to the wall bullshit. I'm going to stop recording and then I'll probably just read the next chapter because it is short and then I will go play the new Pokemon game. Alright, welcome back to the madness for chapter 35, where just Meg pulled out all the stops. If I thought there was a single stop left, she found it, she pulled it out. The level of bonkers is just unforeseen. I did not imagine when I was reading the beginning of this book how absolutely absurd the ending was going to be, and clearly I blocked that out when I was watching another person's read-along. But everybody who DNF'd this book early, you missed out on some grade A high-quality buffoonery. Alright, let's get on to just whatever Meg decides happens next, because I can't predict her at this point.
Space is warped and time is bendable.
Rora is so peripheral to this whole scene, I don't even know why she's in here, except for to be briefly endangered, because everyone kind of forgot about her. And they've literally forgotten about her now. The watchman that was holding her is like, never mind, new directive, off to kill the Emperor, and he just drops her. The performers are also attacking the soldiers, and I'm a little unclear if they're just like throwing in with the mistress, or if she also replaced all of their chips. I don't know, but Rora and Gwen seem to be fine. So it makes me think that maybe they're just like, well, it's either the mistress or the Emperor, and the mistress is slightly less evil, like she doesn't want to kill all of us, just some of us. You really wanted to say lions and tigers and bears, but you stopped yourself, Meg. She has bears, lions, and tigers. You should have just gone lions and tigers and bears. Just embrace it. You have absolutely embraced the chaos at this point. Why not? Again, we're having trouble with distances. Gwen sees the mistress moving toward the Emperor, and it seemed like she was quite a distance away, but all of a sudden she's close enough that Gwen dives and grabs her ankle. Ah, okay. So the ones who are unaffected by the mistress's mind control are anybody whose chip Gwen took out and looked at, I guess? The people who she woke up from their comas. So Marzana is also fine, Rora is fine. Gwen is fine because in that scene, did they take out her chip as well and look at it? I feel like maybe they did. I can't remember. Otherwise, I don't know why Gwen is fine. It's kind of obnoxious that Gwen's leg is broken. I'm not entirely sure why Meg broke Gwen's leg, because it's just like, she doesn't need a broken leg for any of these scenes. She's doing everything just fine, except for we just have to keep mentioning that she has a crutch. Could you have not had her injured in some other way that it's not like a constant, oh yeah, I need to remember that she has a broken leg? Because it's not like Gwen has to run anywhere or anything like that, so I don't know why we broke her leg. For some reason, soldiers start paying attention to Gwen, even though there are zombies right now, and cyborg animals, and regular cyborgs, but Gwen shoots one of the soldiers, and that makes them all go, what? Even though I'm sure it's so noisy in here, there's gunshots everywhere. Gwen's gunshot gets a whole shit ton of soldiers' attention, and they just start piling on. They did rescue Marzana, though. And they flee from the ballroom. I guess they've decided to say fuck it to getting Bastion out of there, or getting his chip back from the mistress. They've buggered off. I would reword this sentence. The three women breathed heavily, trying to suppress their gasping breaths, as the soldiers trundled past the closed door. So first of all, you have breathed and breaths, so I would get rid of one of those. I would either say they breathed heavily, or they were trying to suppress their gasping breaths, although that's kind of clunky. And the soldiers are chasing them, so I wouldn't use the word trundled to describe how the soldiers are moving. They happen to hide themselves in a janitor's closet. Good to know that even the royal palace has janitor's closets.
This is the most cliched hiding place you could have chosen. This
is
the stupidest hiding place.
Take us to the Bahamas of hiding places.
Listen.
I just imagine myself sitting in there, like reading or something, and I just look up as these three women just like throw themselves in and are hiding from the soldiers. And I'm just like, bad day? I'm glad someone remembers Accio. Marzana's like, well, Accio's still in there. We have to go back for him. I figured we had just decided to fuck Accio at this point. I really don't think you're saving everyone at this point, Gwen. They're probably all being shot by soldiers right now. There's a pitched battle happening in the other room. You think your friends are going to come out of this fine? Who is next in line to be emperor? That is something that I'd be very curious about, because there's a very real chance that he would be killed in this giant kerfuffle with zombie cyborgs and all of that. So who would take over for him, and how bad is that person? We finally remembered that we have a dragon. They're like, it's still at the stable, because I don't think the mistress could figure out how to turn it into a cyborg. Dragon trying to murder you while you turn it into a cyborg is a problem. So I understand why they haven't succeeded, even though it seems kind of silly that they dragged the dragon along for this then. But our team, our good guys, are like, we're gonna go free the dragon, and that's gonna help somehow. They seem to be of the impression that the dragon will definitely be on their side. Now, we know that Rora sort of bonded with the dragon back in the cave, but if I was the dragon, I would feel pretty betrayed by her, because just when we were making friends, people started to, like, shoot me. Also remembering that Rora is based on Aurora, the Disney princess. She definitely has Disney princess animal powers. Before they leave, Rora apologizes to Gwen again, and I'm just so sick of Rora taking all the blame for Gwen's stupidity. I've just had enough of it. They're going back the way they came, and there's dead bodies strewn about, human and cyborg, and it would be a lot more meaningful if Gwen could be like, oh no, that's so-and-so. Remember that moment that we shared earlier in the book, so that their death is impactful? The Emperor has holed up in a room, and the mistress is trying to bust down the door with the table. Well, she's having her zombies bust down the door with the table. Outside, the bells are tolling because the alarm has obviously gone up since the palace is being overrun by zombies. So they have a limited time to figure this out before the palace is overrun a second time. Gwen tries one of those, look around you at the destruction you've caused with the mistress, but like that's gonna work. She was having you repo her own people. She does not care. Ah, it's the feds who might show up. Space police. The remote control that the mistress has for her zombies reminds me of the remote control that Bones used in Spock's brain to control brainless Spock.
Go away.
Because plot, Gwen has gotten through to the mistress, and she's withdrawing her space zombies, and they're going back to the ship. How? Why? Gwen just, like, said a few things, and now the mistress is like, oh my gosh, you're right. Thank you for talking to me, main character.
After all you put me through, you expect me to help you just like that? Just like that? Fine.
And Akio's alive. Thank goodness. We don't care. Giorgio is here. Giorgio, this book is ridiculous. Oh yeah, we sent Rora to get a dragon. We kind of forgot about her because it turned out to be super easy to persuade the mistress to stop and for them to all leave. Which, I guess they're just all being allowed to leave. Okay, I guess. Oh no, it looks like someone has replaced Adam's chip with a murder chip again. I have to go fix him before he kills us all. So I hope you'll join me for another chapter again later.
Gallivant may not believe in you, but I do. I super believe in you, Tad Cooper.
Rita, Thea, Alyssa, Deborah, Afra, Melissa, AC, Swamp Goblin Waifu, Sophia, Merween, Kit, Hidden Glade, Light Julie, Belle, Patrick, Anne Sophie, Ray, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Irene, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, Sarah, and Lennox. Thanks for super believing me, everyone.